Living Muslim.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and thank you so much for inviting me to the Living Muslim Show. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, welcome to this very, very important episode. Inshallah, we are going to discuss something that has become really widespread and alarming. And so I wanted all the parents, all the religious leaders and educators who are watching us today, not only to listen attentively and make notes, but rather to bring even their children right now to watch this episode and start making real notes so that you can, inshallah, tackle this important topic. What are we going to discuss, inshallah, about? We are going to discuss about pornography addiction. Now, why did I choose this topic? My brothers and sisters in Islam, according to experts, pornography has become one of the most dangerous drug of our time. Yes, you have heard it right. It is like drug. It is even more dangerous than cocaine and heroin, because a cocaine addict or a heroin addict or any of those addicts who are using hard drugs, you can quickly detect them. You can quickly recognize and identify them because of their physical weakness. Maybe they can commit crimes, they can steal, they can even kill in order for them to have these kind of drugs. But a pornography addict might be a religious leader himself. She might be a hijabi or a niqabi sister, but you can't detect them. There is no any withdrawal symptom that you can notice. And that's why most of the people who would come asking for help, they would say that I have never said this to anyone before. I have been watching porn for 20, 30 years, 15 years, 12 years, and you are the first one I'm telling this to. So it is really painful secret that is kept by addicts for many years, and that's why it is the right time for us to discuss it in public. I know that there are many Muslims around the world who are very conservative. They don't want to talk about this. But if we don't talk about it, my brothers and sisters, how could we find a solution to it? So I believe that it is the right time for all the parents, all the educators and religious leaders to start studying the science behind pornography addiction and how can we offer the necessary help for our brothers and sisters who are addicted to it. And yes, there are Muslims who are addicted to pornography, and we have to be very honest about it, and we have to be compassionate and loving and kind to them so that they can, inshallah, break free from the addiction cycle of pornography. Now, why pornography really is an addictive thing? Number one, my brothers and sisters in Islam, it's accessibility. It is so easy to access pornography nowadays. 20 years back or 25 years back, for anyone to watch porn, he would really go through a lot of hassle in order to obtain a VHS tape or a magazine. And in order to watch that tape or to go through this magazine, you have to hide, you have to go somewhere, you have to wait for his parents to sleep or something like that in order to watch. And that's why it was less addictive. But nowadays, just on your cell phone, my brothers and sisters, you can have access to these filthy images, walayadu billah. So number one, it's accessibility. Number one, affordability. Years before, you have to buy the tape or you have to rent the tape or you have to buy the magazine. Now all you need to do is to just click on your computer and here you go. You can have millions of websites of that nature, walayadu billah. So it's accessibility, it's affordability, it's the aggressive nature of porn, walayadu billah. The porn industry intends to make porn so exciting to an extent that actually they go beyond the norm, that these things are never happen in real intimacy, in real sexual intercourse between husbands and wife. And the danger of that is, my brothers and sisters, that when a husband watch porn, walayadu billah, and see the images of the girls exploited in these movies, and then he look back at his wife, she's not the same as this porn actress, then he started to lose interest, walayadu billah, in the real lawful intimacy. That's how porn becomes addictive. And the last point is, it is anonymous. Like nobody can notice, as we said, that you are watching porn on your cell phone or on your laptop, and that creates the addiction cycle. How it works? Now, the science would tell us that there is a lot of chemical reactions. I don't want to go technical for now for this brief episode, because basically this is part of a whole day workshop which I intend, inshallah, to conduct in different parts of the world, inshallah, to help those who are trapped in the cycle of pornography addiction, inshallah. So briefly, there are chemical reactions that normally pops in the brain whenever you like something. And one of these chemical reaction is dopamine, one of them. And it happens that dopamine is actually responsible for our happiness and responsible for our addiction. So for example, if you tasted sugar and you like the sugar so much, it would register immediately in your brain that so-and-so likes sugar. And so the dopamine's job is to remind you it's time for sugar now. It's time to eat sugar. And this exactly happens when you watch porn. Once you watch porn, the trigger will be popped up in your brain and the dopamine will be produced. SubhanAllah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this dopamine for the same purpose, for your enjoyment. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you are with your wife, enjoying the lawful relationship, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala produced this chemical reaction in a very well calculated portion. But when you watch these things behind screens, wala'ayadu billah, it is produced in huge amount. So it disturbs the system, and that's why you keep going, watching again and again. So it starts by what? A trigger. A trigger. You watch something. You did not protect your gaze. And that's why the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam advised us to lower our gaze. The Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَيَحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَهُم. Tell to the believing men to lower their gaze and guard their modesty. So whenever you walk down the street and something triggered you, you have to immediately divert your gaze. And the same applies to the sisters. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, tell to the believing women to lower their gaze and to guard their modesty. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also informed us that the gaze is an arrow from the arrows of shaitan. That's what shaitan wanted you to end up doing, watching porn, wal'ayadu billah. And then the problem with porn is that it accelerates. The things that you used to watch 5 years back, it's not exciting anymore. So you want something different, wal'ayadu billah. So there are some people who will come to me and tell me, brother, I am not a gay, I am not a homosexual yet. I started to watch these things because I'm not getting the pleasure that I used to when I watched the normal, sex between man and woman. Wal'ayadu billah. So it makes you act in an abnormal way sometimes. Subhanallah. And at the end, you will have to look for, wal'ayadu billah, prostitution house. You will have to act out. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So a trigger. And number two is a justification. This is the cycle of pornography addicts. The justification is you will start saying it is better than zina. It is better than going out and hunting for a prostitute. So watching porn is okay. So you will justify your action. So a trigger, justification, and then the action. And after the action and the pleasure expected, you will start feeling terribly regret, and feeling that how I wish I never had access to these things, regret. And then comes next is false quitting. There are some people after they watch and they get the pleasure that they wanted, they say, from now on, I'm not going to watch porn anymore. And that's what we call false quitting, because afterwards, if you do not protect your gaze, you will relapse and you will watch again and again, and you will keep yourself in that cycle for many, many years. I will just tell you one story of a person who approached me, and he told me that he had an access for porn for 43 years, when porn was really difficult to access at that time. He was a photographer. He used to take pictures of naked people, al-ayadu billah, and he used to pleasure himself to death until he reached the point after marrying his beloved wife and having children from her, 3 daughters and a son. His daughter caught him in the act. His daughter caught him watching porn, al-ayadu billah. And when he came to my office, he said, what? I have never seen my family for 3 years because of porn. Although he gets rid of watching porn, alhamdulillah, but the consequence was terribly bad, not seeing his family. My brothers and sisters in Islam, this is the cycle of porn which many people are trapped in for many, many years, and it is time to take an action. So what are the tips that we wanted to discuss today, inshallah, in order for you to get on the path of recovery, inshallah. But I have to also warn you that these tips that I'm going to discuss may not apply for everyone. It actually depends on your level of addiction. So some people, these tips doesn't work with, some people, these tips might be helpful, but they are very essential. So what is tip number one? Tip number one is to seek Allah's help. I have read over 150 books regarding this subject, my brothers and sisters, but I haven't seen any book that says seek Allah's help, because most of the books written on this subject are from secular point of view, from non-religious point of view. So they don't really mention the point of seeking Allah's help. But in Islam, subhanAllah, the power of dua has been neglected, my brothers and sisters. Seek Allah's help. Beg Him, in your salah, beg Him in your dua. Don't say, I'm filthy, I'm sinner, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not respond anyway. Don't ever give hope. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Inna Allah yaghfiru dhunuba jami'a. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forgiving all sins. Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. La taqnatu min rahmatillah. Don't ever despair from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So don't ever say, Allah hates me, Allah doesn't like me, Allah will not respond to my dua. Keep on asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you get rid of this problem. According to Ibrahim alayhi salam, the Prophet Ibrahim, as recorded in the Quran, he said that when I get sick, it is Allah who cures me. Allah's name is Ash-Shafi, the one who cures. So seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help. Number two, as I told you, I read many books regarding this subject. All of them agreed that you have to tell someone. You can't keep it secret anymore. But be careful, you have to tell someone whom you trust. You have to be careful whom are you going to tell this story to. Yeah, so if you are a husband, maybe you can tell your wife, because normally our sisters will be patient and they will try to help you out with this problem. But if you are a wife, it's not advisable to go and tell your husband, because maybe he would react differently. Our natures are so different. Men are more jealous than women. And so if the husband comes to know that his wife is watching porn or addicted to pornography, it might create a very bad consequence. So you may tell a very close friend, you may tell a coach, a professional coach, a counselor, and he would help you, inshallah, to go about the curing journey, inshallah. Number three, eliminate all pornographic pictures, images from your computer. Even you start, staying away from TV itself, from, TV series, Hollywood, Bollywood, and all these things, because many people think that pornography is only about two people having sex, but rather even a girl wearing inappropriate clothes can be a kind of pornography trigger to those who are addicted. So stay away from any of these movies, or else you will be relapsed again and again, and the relapse feels so bad. Many people will say the guilt is so heavy now, and that makes them reach to a level of depression, deep depression, my brothers and sisters. I have a brother who came to me. He's 18 years old boy, and the first sentence he uttered was what? I wanted to commit suicide. A Muslim wanted to commit suicide, my brothers and sisters, because of porn, because he reached to the point that he kept on watching porn for 6 hours every night for 3 continuous years. Alhamdulillah, now he's doing well. Alhamdulillah, now he's porn free. He was successful in getting rid of pornography, but he is suffering from a very severe disease called erectile dysfunction. He don't have the ability to get married anymore and function normally, because as a result of wasting all the best time of his life, the youth, watching porn. So be careful, my brothers and sisters. Number 4 is to divide your goals into small goals. So for example, some people, as I said, there is a false quitting period where you said, I'm never going to watch porn anymore. This doesn't work in most cases. Instead, you say what? Okay, today is Thursday. I'm not going to watch porn until the next Thursday. So you have 1 week to stay away from porn. And Wednesday night, when it reaches, inshallah, you start making another small goal. Okay, alhamdulillah, I've been away from porn for 1 week now, so I'm going to stop for another 3 days, another 4 days, another 3 days, another 4 days. So whenever you reach to your goal, you give yourself another small goal. So divide your goal into small goals. Number 5, do not ever punish yourself when you fall, because you will relapse again and again. Pornography addiction, my brothers and sisters, is very compulsive, is very powerful. The people actually who are addicted to porn, they do not want to watch porn. That's the thing that we have to understand. And that's why I'm advising my teachers, my scholars of the deen, to really be considerate when someone come and tell you that I'm addicted to porn or I'm watching porn and I can't get rid of it. Instead of telling them haram, 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 which is, of course, it's important to inform them that it is haram, but that in most cases don't work because they're addicted. They can't help themselves to stay away from porn. So we need to really study the science behind this addiction in order to offer them some help. Remember the story of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when a man came to him and told him, "Allow me to commit adultery." You see, this was a person who was considered to be among the best of all generations, one of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't tell him it's haram. He didn't tell him, don't you know that the Quran said about adultery that this is the punishment and so on and so forth. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not get angry at the man, but rather he told him, "Atardahu li ummik?" Do you accept this to happen to your mother? Do you accept this to happen to your sister, to your daughter, and so on and so forth? And the man in every question he would answer by saying, "No, I don't accept this to happen to my family members, for my loved ones." And then the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam started to reason with the man by saying, other people too don't like this to happen to their parents, to their mothers, to their daughters, and so on and so forth. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he was sent as a mercy to mankind, he did something extra. He placed his hand over the man's heart and he made a dua for him. Ya Allah, oh Allah, remove the love of woman from his heart, meaning unlawful woman from his heart. And after that, the man was good to go on the path of purity. So sometimes we need to tackle the subject not from a spiritual viewpoint, but rather from a scientific viewpoint. It would work, especially when it is addictive behavior. Number 6, my brothers and sisters who are addicted, who notice now that what I have been discussing in the past few minutes, that yes, I'm suffering from this addiction. Every time I promise myself never to watch again, and yet I can't help myself, and I go again and again and watch porn. So what I should do? Develop new habit. Monitor yourself. When do I normally watch porn? Most people will say that I watch porn past midnight, like, you know, when everybody is asleep. Now, the key here in order to break that habit is what? Is to sleep early. You start to develop the habit of sleeping early. And don't tell me, you know, I can't sleep before 2, I can't sleep before 3 a.m., I have tried a lot. Don't tell me that, because you're talking to someone who used to sleep at Fajr time. Yani, people would go to the masjid for Fajr, and I would go to sleep during Fajr, and I would wake up during Maghrib time because I used to sing. I used to go to bars. So, subhanAllah, habits can change. The power of habit is scientifically proven that it can work, it can be adjusted. So just try to shift your habits. See what you are normally, when do you watch porn, and break that cycle. And if you are able successfully to practice this habit for 40 days, as psychologists would say, you will be able to get rid of porn, inshallah. Number 7, be honest in seeking the cure. Like, if you have already spoken to someone, a professional coach or a close friend, always tell them whenever you relapse. So when you relapse, always tell them that I have relapsed, what can I do? And then they will go, inshallah, and give you more tips or more different curing tips, inshallah, that can work with you. But don't lie to yourself and don't lie to them. And number 8 is, don't be fooled, as we said earlier, by false quitting. When you quit porn for 2 months, 3 months, don't say, hey, alhamdulillah, I got rid of porn finally. Don't do that. Don't be happy. Continue with your plan. Continue with the habits that you have developed, whether it is sport, swimming, sleeping early, reading beneficial books. Continue with this habit for a long time. I would say that if you are able successfully to shift your habit and never to watch porn for 1 year, then, only then we can say that, alhamdulillah, you have reached the path of purity. Number 9, my brother and sister, and this is something very, very important. Remind yourself of the negative consequences of porn. You know, even I myself, I put a reminder on my laptop that says what? Allah is watching me. Can you imagine whenever you open your laptop or even your cell phone, you look at your cell phone, you see a reminder says Allah is watching you. Be careful. How could you watch porn on a laptop that says Allah is watching you? You are not alone. Don't be, when you lock all doors, when you lock all windows and think that you're alone because your parents are not around, don't be fooled. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ar-Raqib is watching you. So make these reminders and remember, you might die while watching porn, my brothers and sisters in Islam. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said what? That a man will be resurrected on the day of judgment upon the last thing that he had performed. So imagine with me, you're resurrecting to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while watching porn. Can you imagine? What will you explain? How will you explain this to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, deeds will be judged by its endings. Whatever you have done at the end of your life will determine your destiny, whether Jannah or hell, wal-'iyadhu billah. So remember the consequence of watching porn, because I know of examples, wallahi, from the city where I live now, Hong Kong City, I know of an example of people who died while clicking on these channels, wal-'iyadhu billah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us. Ameen. And last point I have here is you have to learn. Now this is for parents, for educators, and even for those who are addicted. You have to learn about this filthy industry, about those people who have actually produced the insultive movie about our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are the same people who are producing porn. So you're supporting the products. You're actually making them rich by just one click. So learn about this industry, and after you learn, raise awareness yourself. I'm actually calling people to join my team so that we can, inshallah, help those who are addicted. And even if you yourself is addicted, when you get involved in these programs, inshallah, to break free those who are addicted to porn, you yourself, inshallah, on the long run will be benefited. Last word for those who are addicted, I wanted to say that, my brothers and sisters in Islam, you are not really a morally sick person. You are not a bad person. You are not your addiction. Your addiction is not yourself. I know that you have now developed something like, you are struggling between two personality. One person is telling you watch porn anyway, and the other person within yourself is telling you it's haram. We can't do that. We can't say Allahu Akbar in our salah and these images cross our minds. How could we focus on salah while we are actually watching porn? Wal-'iyadhu billah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save our children. So you're not bad person. I want you to know that you're not alone in this addiction. There are millions of people, Muslims and non-Muslims alike, who are suffering from this addiction. So don't give hope. Don't give up hope. My brothers and sisters in Islam, I am offering this service for free. So those who wish to contact me to get more tips, more reading materials, or even coaching one-on-one, inshallah, you are free to do so. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our ummah from falling into this trap. Ameen, ameen, ameen. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.